2020 Lauderdale County Board of Supervisors meeting in session. Supervisor Kyle Rutledge presiding.
George, please cut your cell phone to silent or vibrate. Please stand for the prayer and pledge. The prayer will be provided by Supervisor Jonathan Wells.
Give everybody a second to get situated. Remind you that today's Pearl Harbor Day, so big day in history. Let's pray. Well, Father, we just come to you and just humble ourselves, resting in the fact that our promise is in the work that you've done, not us, and that's just a very satisfying feeling to know that what you've done for us. So, as we conduct your business this morning, again, we just want to bring ourselves before you and seek your guidance and wisdom. As always, we just pray for our service people that are out there providing protection for us. And just help us to look to you for our answers. In Christ's name, amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Wells, we have approval of agenda even day.
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. We have approval of minutes dated November 16th, 2020, and December 3rd.
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. Sheriff Billy Solomon, with the agenda will be done by Mr. Black.
Yes, sir. Thank you. He's at his project at the Ag Center this morning. So, as always, his first here is several personnel matters. Looks like you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of those. Are those, does he include those in the minutes, or is
Includes.
they're included? Okay, that's what I thought. Second one is David Poe will attend the SFST training in Sherman, Mississippi on December the 8th through the 10th. Lodging is $216.32. Per diem is requested for $138, and the cost of the training will be paid out of his budget. That's needed for.
So moved. Second.
Discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it.
Next, same officer will attend A-RIDE training in Oxford, Mississippi on December 15th and 16th, 2020. Lodging is $194.02, per diem $138, and the cost of this training will be paid out of the budget.
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it.
Good morning.
Apple approval myself with this conference academic. This just happened. First week 29th, the second one. Expenses included adult 39 grades and
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it.
And then it included themselves to attend the sales with the tourism partners, especially to 16 Jackson. Expenses included something to it, travel.
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it.
And the tourism commission members allocated a limit and request to reopen the Wilbur Jones Tourism Commission for additional 3 years running the October 2023.
So moved. Second.
Discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it.
And then the request to reopen the English and Tourism Commission for additional 3 years running September 2023.
So moved. Second.
Discussion? Next 3 years, see if the rest of the all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it.
Thank you so much.
And our tax assessment.
on the deputy tax assessor, I so moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Opposed?
Everybody will remember homestead community, where it's on 65, where we're on 66.
Is any date that he's planning on coming back?
They say he might come in today.
That'd be good news.
Retirement, January 1st.
Thank you, Dr. Ricketts.
We will have a public hearing on 30 on one day. Right now, Rush. On the board.
Good morning.
First of all, legal approval work on the right of way, Raymond Cobb Road, this work is being correct drainage issues that will help preserve and maintain the county roads, right of way, and the local health department, millions of inhabitants.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Second item, also need approval for a right of way on Mission Bottom Road. This work is being correct, drainage issues, beaver dams, this will maintain the county road, right of way, and promote the health and comfort of inhabitants.
Second.
Discussion.
Rush, is it your intention to put the photographs in the minutes? Is that how you're gonna document where the work's gonna be done? That or? Okay. I know, yeah, we talked at the work session about latitude, longitude, something like that, so, and that's, so. Okay.
Third item, more discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. Third item, need to approve the purchase of licensed vehicles, for development, purchase only as amounts. Ryan Moses, the first one.
So moved. Second.
Discussion. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That's all I have.
Good morning.
So moved. Second. Aye.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
Aye.
Opposed?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
Aye.
Opposed? Chris Lappy or Mr. Trey?
Good morning, Mr. President, Board.
Morning.
My first item here is I need to ratify and approve the renewal of the Employee Assistance Program with Wings Mental Health for 1 year starting October the 1st, 2023 and running through September 30th.
So moved. Second. Aye.
Next, I need approval of the base flood elevation and floodways for the listed PPIN 953 Coops Creek.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, ayes.
Letters are so small. All right, so I need approval for the board president to sign the following MDEQ modifications for the grants SW1144, SW1200, and the agreement for SWCT 639. These are just extending those for one more year.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
Aye.
Opposed,
Next, I need approval to repay in advance of $94,100 from the general fund to the Commercial Heritage Preservation Grant Fund 070. The grant proceeds have been received and closed fund 070.
So moved. Second.
discussion.
Aye.
Next, I need approval to transfer $12,436.05 from the Bridge Fund 160 to the ERBR Overrun Benville Cosville Fund 334 and Closed Fund 334.
I'll move.
Second.
Discussion. Bruce, still open. We'll be there, appreciate the state helping us out with that, on the process. We close that fund out. Yeah, close that other people. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Next, I need to include in the minutes that the December the 17th, 2020 and the December the 31st, 2020 work sessions are canceled. Next, I need approval to provide Lima light stands at or near the Collinsville Volunteer Fire Department on December the 12th, 2020 in order to mitigate potential emergencies.
So moved.
Discussion.
Aye.
Next, I need approval to contract with Appraisal Research Company for appraisals of the Silicon Branch Solar Farms located within Lauderdale County. I know that I probably shouldn't have put this on there, probably should have been more
And that is a professional services agreement within the scope of the statute. So we'll work through the details of that.
which we didn't get till late Friday, so Lee hadn't gotten it on this one. So, that was just from our conversation. So we'll need to. Next, so number 9, 10, and 11 are all about our continued discussion on vehicles, county vehicles versus personal vehicles. Based on the conversation that we had, some new information has come up. I provided you guys a copy of that. The MAS did put out in their magazine that was received over the weekend, kind of an explanation. So I guess you'd call it all the policies. But it explains what the fringe benefits are. I also included to you guys a sample of some mileage reports, one for a personal vehicle, one for a county-owned vehicle, and basically some other information that you guys asked me to. So as we talk through it, I've got here at number 9, 10, and 11, I do think that it would be prudent of us to go ahead and at least work through number 9 and number 10 in case a situation comes up in the next couple of weeks or from now until the first of the year. If you guys decide to take the personal vehicles, you at least receive that mileage for that. So based off the input that we've gotten, number 9, I need approval to adopt the supervisor's mileage reimbursement policy.
So moved. Second.
Discussion. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
And number 10 is need approval for the following travel to be eligible for that reimbursement. And again, that's just as a presumption in case you guys need to do some travel. The state statute says that it has to be pre-approved travel, meaning we can't ratify the mileage or anything like that. So please look through this. This is based off our conversation. If there's anything we need to add or reword, please let me know.
So move.
Second.
Any discussion?
Number 11, I put that on there in case you guys wanted to go ahead and identify who was going to move away from a county vehicle or not. As we've talked about, either way you go, whether it's a personal vehicle or a county-owned vehicle, maintaining that mileage is going to be a very important aspect of that. And good record document keeping. So that's a personal preference that you guys will set for what you do.
Mr. President, also, with that being said, the year of that vehicle makes a lot of difference in your mileage total. I mean, your cost, correct?
Absolutely. The older the vehicle, the least value is, for sure. I know there's been some thoughts about, the reason why the IRS picked on us so bad this year was because we hadn't been keeping up with the miles. So by IRS state code, you're charged the whole lease value because there was no record of business miles and personal miles. So the assumption with the IRS is it was all personal miles. So that's why we're where we're at today, trying to
Of course. Mr. Laffer, could we just make this blanket for all the boards and whoever want to buy in, you already have it, you can, about number 11?
Sure, yeah.
Instead of just putting a name down, and at that point, when we figure all of this out, we can move forward.
You absolutely can. I just didn't know if somebody wanted specifically their name written down. We can reword it however we want.
I just think we should make it effective to the board, because it only affects 5 of us.
Right.
And, you either in or you out, they should have said, but as of now, we're not gonna have another work session, so. I'm so moved, sir. Second.
Discussion, so. What is the mileage?
Yeah, I would say today. Right, today.
So what about stop that person here?
Right, and as it unfolded, it's just better to go ahead and do it now because, some of you guys turned in your county vehicles, so, you need to be reimbursed for your mileage. The reason why it was in there for January or whatever that date was because the assumption was maybe keeping those for the first year. But, I think the right personal preference was some to turn in, and we need to make sure that all our county business is reimbursed. So I think effective today.
And especially if you've still got a county vehicle. And I don't know if you've had a chance to read the MAS article yet, but the CPA, the MAS, they prepared a pretty good article.
Thank you for sending it.
But, one thing he stresses in there is that if you don't document, thoroughly that it's, so you've got a county vehicle, you don't document thoroughly the use of the vehicle, all right, for county business, then, they'll presume that it's all personal. And, of course, that'll hurt you in your pocketbook. So, documentation, we talked about log books and notebooks, calendars, and things that are recommended in that article. And, the more, documentation in that regard, the better. So.
Mr. President, I don't think we should start until December the 31st or the 1st of January, because a couple of supervisors, including myself, has talked about scaling back to a different vehicle. So we wouldn't be in that vehicle. How I reckon you could fill out two paperworks versus one, but I would suggest that we just, till we get it ironed out, we got to the 1st of January, don't we?
Well, that's a, see, we're gonna go.
Yeah. They charging you, you just ain't got the bill yet.
I mean,
More miles.
not talking about miles.
I understand that, but you still, some of us are looking at scaling back.
Either way, you're gonna pay full price.
You're gonna pay.
Now, unless you approve this now and keep over your miles.
Well, what I'm getting at is the vehicle that I've requested, is gonna have to have a little work done on it.
It just changed, it all.
It's not, and again, it's like we talked about Thursday, every document that we're working through is a living document. I mean, it is going to change.
Yeah.
And the mileage that I provided, the sheets that we provided is going to change, just that format, just working through it, what fits us better. So there's going to be some change on the way, but that's a policy decision.
And I still don't understand all of it about the mileage. I mean, like I was telling Mr. Norwood this morning, we were talking about it. When I get in my truck, I am in District 2 naturally, and when I get here, I'm in District 2. So I ride every road that I come, from my house to here is in District 2. So where is the, I reckon if I stopped and got a cup of coffee at the quick stop down there, that 25 yards would be private, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
And although and everybody in this room agrees with 100%, the IRS says that mileage to the board meetings and to different things are not count miles. I disagree, but the IRS never has mileage.
Well, again, I just wanted, the main reason that I'm doing this talking is the public to understand what we as elected officials have to go through sometimes to serve the county people.
I agree. I don't know about our starting days. I think it'd be beneficial if you started now because, like Mr. Todd said, you're going to get charged this month for that truck. You're not going to be keeping up those miles now. Yesterday's example, we went to my mother-in-law's to eat lunch. That's personal. I go down, what's the lake road over there, guys? Dogwood Lake, because there's a culvert that I've been keeping an eye on. My wife says, well, is this personal or is this county? I'm like, I don't know. Because we went to eat lunch, but I looked at that culvert on the way home because it's not being concerned about it. So what is it?
It's the government, they here to help.
Yeah.
More discussion.
So what, based on the intent that I'm hearing, we need to modify number 11, need approval for all supervisors.
I think that was Joe's motion. Yeah. He moved for all.
Right, just making sure that I understand.
Well, I'm in agreement with that because I haven't made a decision.
I know, I mean,
I
that's,
haven't made a full decision.
it's actually moving parts on all of us. I mean,
Yeah,
something just got thrown in our lap right here.
It was changed 5 times.
It really has, so we need to figure it out.
It may change again.
It is going to change.
Yeah.
But I mean, they're exactly right. If you're not documenting this month, then the whole month be charged to you for all your mileage to be, per.
You might as well go into the boat to it.
I don't even have a hitch on that truck.
So we have a motion, we have a second.
I think that's the
Second, was one discussion. We have one discussion.
It wasn't good.
All in favor, say aye. Opposed?
No.
So I've got one a discussion that came up this morning, I need to make you guys aware of, and I've been texting back and forth dealing with it. So we know that DHS is doing a lot of COVID testing with the National Guard, and they're wanting to bring a small container out there and put on the property to hold some of the supplies and help be more efficient. There's some money out there that's gonna run some power to it, but, I told the DHS that there's really no issue with this temporary building being out there. So, if you see, unless you guys say so now, but it supports the COVID testing. I sent, Steve and Reza out there to make sure there was no interference with utilities or anything like that. So, we're gonna move forward with supporting DHS unless you guys say. Which I think they're doing fine. That's the only thing I just want to make you guys.
All right. A few items. Mr. President, first, item 1, I'll just submit for inclusion in the minutes, the petition to close a county road or a portion thereof. That's for a portion of Crookston Road. Next item, ask to consider a motion to ratify and approve the electronic payment kiosk agreement with Ion Business Concepts and Payment Systems LLC to serve as the exclusive kiosk provider for the Office of Tax Collector effective November 2, 2020.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
Next, need to pass item 3. I left that on there just in the event that we had the rules back from the state that we have not yet received those. So hopefully by next meeting. Moving to item 4, we had 2 applications for exemption from solid waste fees. We'll ask you to consider those separately. The first one was submitted by Mr. John Tate of 175 Spring Hill Road. And on his application, he indicated that he owns the location and that he's contracted for the disposal of solid waste. So there's a problem with his application in that there's a requirement in the order that if you're going to claim that you've got a contract, you've got to provide a copy of the contract, also along with a permit or license for the facility, otherwise the application is to be rejected. As those items are missing, then I should consider a motion to deny the application of John Tate.
So moved. Second.
Any discussion?
This is not unusual, and typically you get 1 or 2 applications a year, and I think this gentleman actually, Mr. Mooney, let him know that some additional documentation or somebody on their staff was needed to support the application, but. So,
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
and the next one is a lady, Miss Betsy Rutledge. I can't blame that on the small print. General English language. She is one folks who lives out on Murphy Road, 227 Murphy Road, which of course is not far from the Pine Springs landfill, and her request was on that basis that folks that live near the landfill on Pine Springs Road are exempt. I think over the years, going back in our files to 2011, I think hadn't found the specific authority for it, but that the board had exempted Pine Springs Road, James Parton Road, and Wheelwright Road, and Murphy Road, So, so with that, then I recommend that you grant the application of Ms. Betsy Rutledge.
So moved.
Second with discussion.
And actually, it wouldn't even be necessary. She submitted the application.
So I was unaware about Springs, I just want some more.
Just a
It's
name.
Pine Springs Land.
Okay,
That's.
okay, got you. I'm clear.
I'm sorry, yeah.
Got you, we're good. Got you.
That's good.
Yeah, it's just-
Yeah.
Any more discussion? Say aye.
And again, that was one that she technically wouldn't have to submit the application, but I know she submits one, and then she's got to review it. Present 7 o'clock. This time, I'd recommend that you entertain a motion to open the public hearing on the flood damage prevention ordinance. Is there a motion?
So, second.
Discussion?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
And just for, of course, history, back in, on November 16th, you passed a resolution of intent to call this public hearing for the purpose of considering amending the ordinance entitled Flood Damage Prevention Ordinance. It was first adopted on June 1 of 1992, at least in its present form, and has amended multiple times since then. And since this resolution was passed on November 16, there includes a deadline of 9:30 this morning for anyone to submit in writing any objections to the proposed amendment. I'm only aware of one request pertaining to changing the terms of the amendment, and that was actually from Ms. Loomis, and that she asked to change a couple of paragraphs. And so at this point in time, Ms. Kathy, I'll turn it over to you to want to give a little history of the reason why we're doing this, and also the reason why it's necessary. And then I've got, before we get to that, we submit for inclusion in the minutes the affidavit of publication about this notice of public hearing, and also Ms. Kathy Loomis' requested changes to the ordinance, which I'll submit those in the minutes.
Good morning.
The reason we have to we had a visit back last year, and one of the things that we were fighting for was we had to make a staff. The reason it's taken so long is because we've been working, trying to get wording in our ordinance to be a point of CRS program. That's the only addition. Open to have community visit from ISO, which that's 200 days of insurance rate. And we're hoping to get to a 5 savings where we keep the same discount on anybody that applies for flood insurance each year. And anyone that applies for flood insurance that's not in flood zone, get a 5% discount on their insurance policy. Change that I'm, a couple of changes I'm requesting. First one is in Article 5, Section A, number 14. I'm asking that we remove that. I have no way of making sure that foundation is above the road. So, I mean, I don't have any way to enforce that. I'm requesting that in the ordinance, so that we won't have someone that not
And if I can hop in here for a moment, the document that you have before you does not include that paragraph. That's one we talked about on November 16th, was whether or not we may have the ability to police that, basically. And so the version that included for the November 16th included that provision. It's paragraph 14 on page 19. So the version I have for you to consider today, that paragraph has been removed. The page that you have before you is a summary of the changes that she requested on page 22, which is where I'm sure where she's going on.
Can you help me understand? We're telling these folks that they're to be above a certain grade. Correct.
That was just saying that the foundation of the house had to be above the center line of the road. I don't have any way to police that because I haven't been paid. So I don't have any way to enforce that, so I'm requesting that we bring that forward.
So the problem is this: if you have provisions in your ordinance and you don't police them, then you get deductions based on that. So it's counterproductive to put something in your ordinance that you either
My question
cannot or will not enforce.
I guess my question is doing away with that, is that, where does that leave these people as insured, if insurance comes back over, you didn't do this?
And this is an ordinance, there's a question, well, this is an option. This is not
Okay,
one
okay,
that's mandated.
okay,
This is
all right.
one that we have the option to obey.
Okay, all right.
I don't,
I'm asking that we not.
I don't like it anyway. What if you own 30 acres and the road has been built up 8 feet above grade, and then all of a sudden you own 30 acres out here, you're not gonna flood, but you gotta build up 8 feet just so you'll be above the road? I mean, that's too much government to me. That's telling people what they can and can't do with their own property.
In the model ordinance that NEMA provided, there were a number of provisions that were optional for you to consider. And those were, when we received those were easily identifiable because they were in red. All right, it's something we could consider, and that was one of those items.
That's good point, Josh. I didn't think that was right.
Well, you just take Russ, for instance. Russ would have to build his, if he had built his house where it's at now, he would have to build his.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
right.
yours too. You would have to build it up 5 feet just to be above the center line of the road, which is, it's too much.
Well, that's helping me understand.
That's too much. Well, I have to dumb things down for me, so that's how I think of things. But I think you've done right by taking that.
In Article 5, Section C, number 4, I'm not taking anything out, I'm just adding wording on our base flood elevation, which I just adopted this time. This is just putting the wording in our ordinance for us to get credit for what we already did. And there was certain wording that FEMA required us to put in there so that we would be eligible for the credit. So it's not changing anything, it's just changing the wording for us to get rid of it. And the point is what we do to drive a class. For every 500 points you get, we need drive a class. So that's the reason I'm requesting that we change the wording. And I've been waiting on, this is what's held up so long, is waiting on FEMA to give us the language that they wanted, that they would give us credit for, and they still haven't given it to us. Like, I've been on 3 years trying to get this through. They really don't want to give us the point for this, because it's a lot of points, and they don't even want to have it. But this is the best that I could get from them giving me a little bit of information that this is what they're looking for, and I'm asking that we be put in there and saying that we will come up with a base flood elevation for a single lot, which that's what we did when we just adopted it another day ago, that we had to have a base flood elevation to be able to tell them what they had to do. So, I put that wording in our ordinance that we've been doing for years, but we haven't been able to keep it going for
The model ordinance said that the landowner actually would have to hire an engineer and provide a proposed, base flood elevation. And then that would be up to the county presuming that it was prepared utilizing the accepted engineering practices and procedures, it's going to be up to the county to accept, and if so, then it would become the base flood elevation for that site. So that's the revision that you have is a departure from that process to actually what you, as technically what you have been doing, is that the county has an engineer that makes that determination. So there's no debate about whether it's been done properly or not.
State's done it, what's the base flood elevation, floodway, brought to another board before approved.
Now, and this page, this section of the ordinance, when it pertains to, you see the title of the particular parts, it's substantial streams without base flood elevations and floodways. Okay, so it's just a narrow group or area of the ordinance. And Kevin, when you finish your comments, I'll explain to you why things are highlighted and why things are marked out. And her changes are here, but also some of the things we marked out from the previous version that you saw.
That's all I'm doing.
So if I may, if you follow along, I highlighted up in section C1, the language single lot or 5 acres, whichever is less, and that's language from MEMA. And the reason I highlighted that is that down, Kathy, in section 4, we talk about single lot size. I think it may be better, instead of say development of a single lot site, to say the development or say for the development site. Similar to the language down in paragraph 5. You see the second line of paragraph 5 which refers to the development site, which is the language that MEMA uses.
And the reason I'm saying a single lot, cheaper, we're saying that we will do it if it's just one lot, but we usually do it on the length of the stream because it's cheaper to do the whole length of the stream than to do it one lot at a time. You can get a lot more for the money to do the entire stream and come up with a base flood elevation one way for the full length of the stream. But this is saying that we will do it, they're wanting us to say that it will be done for one lot. That's the reason I asked the word to be changed, because it's not usually done for a single lot, it's usually done for the whole length of the stream. But they will, it will be in there for a single lot.
So actually, your intent is to do more than 5 acres then? It could potentially be more than that? Yes, okay. So, I understand better now. So just for our discussion, for recommendation to the board, the paragraph 3, we had the strike-through language. In fact, if you look at that too, this is some language that you and I worked on for the last version. As an introduction, the part that has no strike-through in paragraph 3 is the model language from me. And so from the proposal that you had on since the resolution intent was passed, would involve striking that introductory language in section 3. And I think which would be actually consistent with what you recommended for section 4. Okay. Is that what you want to do as well, is strike that language, the introductory language in section 3? Okay. And then moving down to section 4, the highlight of it just for purposes of the point, ease of reference. But I put a strike through in that 4th line, the accepted engineering practices and procedures established in statute, Article 5, Section B. I think it's sufficient to say accepted engineering practices and procedures. That's defined early in the ordinance, and those procedures aren't really established in Article 5, Section B. But I did add, once you get that base flood elevation, according to the standard, to the model, then this site would be subject to the standards of Article 5, Section 3. So that's sort of, it fits better to add at the end of the paragraph. I think that was the intent, but that's the, once you get that base flood elevation, then this is treated like the other riverine areas, right? Which is what that means. Okay. Couple of,
With that all being said, section C actually don't come into play at all anyway. This is for standard being without any flood elevation or floodway. We have a base flood birthday established on all of these. So this is strictly, I mean, it's required to be in our ordinance, but if we don't fall into that category, then we have base flood elevation established on all, everything that we.
I guess having gone through those gymnastics there, purpose is that Kathy's recommended some changes, and which I think are well-founded, but I would say in addition to that, to make it consistent with the model ordinance, that in addition we would strike that introductory language in section 3, and also strike that one phrase in C4, and basically just moving that phrase to the end of C4. And we'll also strike C5 is this line through there. That does appear in the ordinance that you considered on November 16th. Any questions about all that? And then we covered, we went through the ordinance, pretty depth, a fair amount of depth back in the work session and then in the meeting on November 16th. But having said that, if you would step outside, is there any member of the public that would like to come forward and address the board regarding the proposed flood damage prevention ordinance? Last call. Any member of the public would like to come forward and address the board regarding the proposed amendment to the flood damage prevention ordinance? See no movement. Unless there are any other questions or discussion of the board, recommend any motion for approval.
Second.
Discussion?
Good job, Mr. Campbell.
She did say public speaking is the most favorite thing in the world to do.
She always does good.
You did a good job.
Probably good to talk to news, kind of,
And they do work on it. She works on this.
really, she explained it better than I did.
You afraid they're gonna ask you about it?
She's the expert.
That would be my fear.
All I would though to say is, hey, there's rules when you're building, you need to
You contact.
Get a permit.
check the permit.
All right, back to the legal agenda. We're on item 5.
Did we close the public hearing?
We did. Okay. We didn't vote on it, did we? Okay. Item 5, ask consider motion to ratify and approve the acceptance of a drainage easement recorded in book 3058 at page 296 from Gary Ryan Pickett as the heir of Tommy Jean Ryan as relative to Kewanee Road EWP project, number to November 25, 2020.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion?
Next, similarly, ask consider motion to ratify and approve acceptance of a drainage easement recorded in book 3058 at page 335 from Henry Manning Pickett, another heir of Tommy Jean Ryan, as relative to the Kewanee Road EWP project, number per trunk, November 30, 2020.
So moved.
Second.
Next, on the same topic, ask consider motion to authorize the board president and clerk to execute the assurances related to real property acquisition relative to the Kewanee Road EWP project.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion?
And as it indicated at the work session, I think that I've already sent a letter to the state, the attorney's letter certifying that we've obtained this so title. Moving to item 8, Russ, you want to come to the podium? Is he still here? Just go on to the bathroom. Let's get that. All right. So we've got the Pat Harrison Waterway District, I'm sorry, Josh is out, so let's be,
Please, Mr. Josh Thomas.
he is, John on spot. All right, so we asked you to consider the Pat Harrison Waterway District request for approval of task order, and I assigned it a number 2020-1. My recommendation going forward would be just on an annual basis that you go a year and then 2020-1 and next year start over 2021-1, 2, 3, and so on to help just for tracking purposes and when we get a request, we can assign a number to it, and then also when we close one of those, we can identify which one it is. With that, Rush, you think that I was prepared that the agreement with Pat Harrison would have thought about it back then, huh? Didn't know my big was incorrect at that. All right, so Rush, we've got the specific things that Pat Harrison's asked us to look at. That's something we talked about at the work session, is that
You want to do these individually?
we'll haul them off. No, it's just one order, but just to talk about them individually, so you're informed. Some of them are more, we had some questions about a couple of them. I mean, that one, it's largely, there's some concrete blocks, and it's something that, we get to, we'll keep the materials. Some which can be used for riprap, some concrete which may bring down, if it's suitable, bring down to the old mall site to run through the crusher. So that one and item 2 are pretty much the same. No, we didn't have any questions for work session about that. That was hauling off the water park structure that they built Tippy. Sir.
For the public's information, in discussion this Thursday, the question was asked if the asbestos had been removed, and Rush had said that it had been and is ready for demolition from the county.
Right. And that was part of Pat Harrison's, obligation in the agreement that passed back in September, that if we wanted to do that Pat Harrison would be responsible for remediating the asbestos. So. We're not getting reimbursement on that, but certainly it's not a bad idea to do that.
The benefit of doing that is you get to show how much
Support.
you support, and it also helps Pat Harrison as they're working through other, their legislative agendas to say, and we need this funding. And by the way, Lauderdale County, they've contributed X amount of hours, X amount of dollars. But as far as a legal reason, so that's up to the board.
I like it. Okay. Yes, my numbering 8A, B, and next B. So moving to the second B.
B2?
Yeah, BB.
This pertains to mulch in certain areas around the shoreline of it. I do not have it lined up. Well, I did create a map of the shoreline of it. The proposed mulch areas, which is also around Soul Motel.
Well, that's any of the board members want to see it.
No, I'm comfortable because I can visually, I know where they're talking about. I'm good.
And we can attach that to the order, because that's the area you're going to mulch, so we'll be fine.
And the last item, which is proposed to be now, Jones Falls Lake.
Is there any question about that? I mean, I don't know. believe it or not.
It's the second time we've had
Gargo County since '94, and I've never been down fall, so. Man.
Say that again?
My kids down there. That wasn't me. Yeah, so any clear questions about?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it.
And I will for the future, I'm going to contact Alan White is the one who submits these on behalf of Pat Harrison, and ask him to break his requests out. And like he's going to submit one for Dunn's Falls, to submit it separately. He could submit 2 or 3 at a time, but when you close out a project, we're done with task order, whatever, and we don't have as many tasks all rolled into one. So. But we provided him a fillable task form that it'll be easy for him to do. So we'll send it back to of course, put one in the minutes, and also we send a copy back to Pat Harrison as well, to Alan Wright. Alan is the guy. So he's the community bureau director. And we work together on the language for the report. Yes.
What do you guys do?
All right, Mr. President, moving to item 9, we talked on Thursday, work session, this is really just, I've got it down for discussion. Hopefully we've gotten a little more information since Thursday. The status of the alleged nuisance property at 4266 Bailey Acres Circle. Include the paragraph there, a reminder, your action on September 8th, where you after a public hearing, approved a motion to allow Mr. Darian Reese and the estate of Irma Reese a period of 90 days from September 8th to claim the property as he requested, and further in 90 days to revisit the matter and take action as may be necessary if the property's not been perfectly cleaned, and day 90 is today. So I know we talked about, I planned that part. It does seem like yesterday, doesn't it?
That don't seem like 2 days ago.
So, I know Mr. Norway, you were gonna reach out to Mr. Reese, I think.
I talked to him over the weekend, and I was informed that his attorney had reached out to you. And I talked to him this morning, and because I was just trying to find him.
Not since they just said they were planning to do some work. So,
Well, I don't know, I'm asking the board if you allowed it to get another extension, because I also talked with the contractor who was scheduled to do the work over there, and what he told me was true. He had been out there and looked at it and told him the holidays and all that going on, how busy he was, but they was gonna get around to it. So that's the only thing we can do, either give him an extension or not, so requesting the board to extend it again.
Mr. President, how many days would you like to extend it, Mr. Noel?
I'll just say another 90 days and have him to make sure he shows some sign of work being done.
You put that in the form of a motion?
Okay, I move that we extend for Mr. Reese, extension of another 90 days, have his attorney to contact our attorney and make sure that there's some progress being made on his extension.
Second.
I guess, the only question I have is, are you getting any calls, Mr. Whalen?
I haven't, but before we started the process, yes. But,
Since they know he's
3
working?
months ago, I reached out to the neighborhood and said, specifically the guy that lived across the road, was the one that wanted the petitions done, that was making calls, because this is in his line of sight, it's right across the street from his house. And so, after we had that 90-day extension vote, or 90 days vote to see action, I let him know. So, I think I've talked to him maybe one time since then. He called me and said, I don't see anything going on. I reminded him we gave him the 90 days and we should see something. So just probably being, what's the word you like to use? Just getting on top of things, not aggressive, but proactive and not reactive. I'll probably call him today and say, hey, we gave him another 90 days. So,
You don't have a problem when giving them extension, or you want
I don't.
You want to lessen it?
It'll end up being 6 months after we make this vote today, but I'll say after this, we're gonna need to do something, because I've given my word, not only to that gentleman across the street, but pretty much everybody that signed the documentation that they wanted something done, that something would be done. So, I'm all for giving Mr. Reese an extension. Just need to see something happen this time.
And as I said at the work session on Thursday, whenever I reached out to them, wrote to the attorney for the estate, he has responded promptly, provided, and when he responded, typically by email, he copied the Reese family, and also they added comments, submitted a proposal to clean the property, and provide some explanation about some insurance funds that are available. But actually, one of those emails from an insurance company, the shelter, asking if the work was done already. So, I do think that there's some validity in what they're saying, that there's intention to clean the property. Now, to what extent it will be cleaned, whether it's take it to the ground, leave the wall standing, that we just don't know.
I would just like to just add in here, not only is, this going to be 6 months of giving him time to do that, you got to go back and add the original time that this incident happened. It's been
A couple of years. I was thinking it was the fall of 18, I believe, when that incident happened.
So I want, and the situation is moving. When he came in last time, it was very emotional, and it pulled on my heartstrings. I want to help him, but at some point we're going to have to do something that they don't.
And all right, what if we say we will give them the extension? And the only reason I'm chiming in, I guess, is because if this happened in my district, I just want to set that precedence where they're going to give you another 3 months. And I'm for giving them 3 months, because like you said, I really believe they're trying to do something. Can we put in there to where they have to contact us within a month and say, okay, we have the insurance money, we are going to do this, and we're starting this? Because after the 3 months, I say we move forward doing what we're going to do. So, and I know you said there's an email on the insurance. If that is true, because you're talking about March now, or February-ish.
Now, when the insurance company plans to pay, I don't know all that.
Well, I put it in the motion, Mr. Attorney, that we have his attorney to contact you to show some sign of progress within that period.
But that's the motion. My recommendation would be to track the language that's in the reminder there, is where their requirement is for them to clean. All right. Because one, you had a public hearing. All right. You had a public hearing, and so you still haven't made a determination of whether or not the property constitutes municipal public health and safety. All right. So that is still there for you to decide. So what I would ask Mr. Norwood is, would you amend your motion so that it says that that's to allow Mr. Darian Reese and the estate of Ms. Irma Reese a period of 90 days from December 7, 2020, clean the property as he requested on September 8th, And further, at the end of 90 days, the board will revisit the matter and take action as may be necessary if the property at 4266 Bailey Acre Circle has not been effectively claimed. Meaning that at that point in time, then you're going to make a decision about order to declaim, moving to that next step. So if you're agreeable with that, you amend your motion.
So move to the attorney's language.
And really what I did was just track the language of the motion you did before.
Second.
Discussion. Any motion?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. No discussion. Before we approve. So all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
All right. It won't be terrible. I just want to get that little reminder to help for those minutes too. So, anyway. All right. Moving on to 10. So we had the public hearing today on the amended flood damage prevention ordinance. And so what I have for you to consider, Mr. President and Board, is a recommendation that you approve the Lauderdale County amended flood prevention ordinance, and that would amend and supersede the existing ordinance, and recommend that should take effect December 7, 2020, and to incorporate the changes that we discussed previously as requested by Ms. Lynch.
So moved.
Discussion. Say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
So who's our second?
Mr. Plum.
All right. Next item, at the 7th Thursday, we have a couple of additional lawsuits in, set aside tax sales. So at first, number 11, I consider motion to retain my firm and me to represent Lauderdale County, and Carolyn Mooney, class as Chancery Clerk in the case of HL&C Lauderdale LLC and Dune Partnership versus Eclipse 17 and others. It's case number 20-1084S, Chancery Court of Lauderdale County, number effective December 1, 2020.
So moved.
Discussion. Say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Next, also ask consider motion to retain my firm and me to represent Lauderdale County and Carolyn Mooney capacity as Chancery Clerk of Lauderdale County in the case of American Pride Properties LLC versus Hubert Gibson, also known as Hubert M. Gibson, and others. And that is case number 20-741S in the Chancery Court of Lauderdale County. That's number per junk to November 23, 2020.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
I move to item 13. I have for you to consider an amended resolution to adopt, approve, and implement Senate Bill 3039. And what I propose for you is to do it effective January 1, 2021, to put it on the beginning of a month. And of course, that would be up to you. And what it would do is, I'm not sure if you have, whether you've got a copy of that, I know it's on the Service Pro, is the only, of course, 3039 is the local and private legislation about charges out of justice court, where you authorize certain charges. The only thing that this change this would make to it would be that pertaining to the assessment of $25 per case for each civil case filed in justice court. It would be each civil case, not including residential evictions. And then again, that would propose with the amended resolution would take effect January 1, 2021. Also, we talked about, and this is something that you approved back in July. And on that occasion, Mr. Todd was absent, and it passed on a vote of 3-1. So you need at least 4 of you to vote in favor of it to, under your board rules, for this amended resolution to pass.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
All right, next item, 14, ask to consider resolution of the Lauderdale County Board of Supervisors authorizing the execution of a cooperative agreement between the board and the town of Marion, thus relative to the establishment and joint support of the Lauderdale County Animal Control Center.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
And one item that's not on the agenda, I know back in the, asked you to amend, but back earlier in the year, we authorized the Justice Court to enter into, you authorized an agreement with Court Solutions to provide electronic payments to support Justice Court, and we have made some contract revisions so that it's now in a condition for them to approve. That's for an amendment to the legal agenda to authorize the board president to execute the service agreement. That is with technically it's not. It's with I3-CS LLC doing business as Court Solutions. Need a motion to amend.
So moved. Second.
Discussion. Favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
With that, ask you to consider a motion to authorize the board president to execute the service agreement between Lauderdale County and I3-CS LLC. And that relates to electronic payments for the Lauderdale County Justice Court.
So moved. Second.
Discussion. Favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
Mr. President, simple questions, please leave it again. I know we talked on Thursday about, we had the request for, about solid waste management plan. And Todd, you'd like to ask that to be on today's agenda, but that's just something we do next meeting. So,
I was gonna bring that up in supervisor's comments. Because all we're gonna do is just approve it, correct? I mean, so why can't we go ahead and approve it? And,
There's more to it than there's more to it than just saying approve it. I mean, you've got that package that was submitted on Thursday, and then we got a package that's a year old, all right, from another I'm drawing a blank on who was the other? Waste Pro, pertaining to another landfill. And quite honestly, I'm not sure their information is current enough to go forward with. So I've got a little legwork to do on that. So we're talking about 2 weeks to make sure we get it right. Yes.
I guess,
And there's some curative work needs to be done, and we'll get moving on that.
so, okay, because I talked to Richard Friday in detail about, of course, he's not an attorney, and I'm definitely not either. But is there any paperwork right now that we have to look at? I mean, what is it that the county, because all we're doing is pretty much going to vote on an intent for them to move forward, because really from now on, after we do that, isn't it between the two respective companies and DEQ?
Well, it's a first step is a resolution by us, one, that we've got basically adequate information to go forward on, adequate applications, supporting documents, to amend the solid waste management plan, setting a public hearing, which the last time we did one of these, it was 45 to 60 days out before we had the actual public hearing. And then, after the public hearing, then you actually, say, approve an amendment to the solid waste management plan. It's more of a recommendation. because as we know, it's not final until MDEQ says so. So we're talking about months down the line anyway before this could ever be effective. So it just makes sense to make sure it's correct. So, yeah, as we said, that was something that they obviously been working on it for a while, but the first time that we saw it, or that I knew they were proposing this, was on Thursday. So
On that particular site? Because I know they've looked at 2 or 3 other sites, I know, and I know they're closing on this site, if I'm not mistaken, from what the gentleman told me, I think they're closing on this site this next week, if I'm not mistaken. They're closing on it, so.
there are 2 sites that are addressed in their application. So, but again, that's one piece of the puzzle. If you're talking about amending your solid waste management plan, is to include that, and also to include the one that was submitted a year ago. This was December of 19, when that application was submitted.
And that's from Waste Pro.
That's from Waste Pro for the old Bozeman site.
I guess, so that's from 2019, why are we just not taking that up? Or is it on their end that they're ready for it now?
I'm sorry, I missed that.
Yeah, part of the reason why is because we knew that this was coming.
Something else was coming at some point in time.
And you can only amend it once every 5 years.
So, and I mean, it's sort of like with Waste Pro, we have plenty of lead time to take a look through everything, all right, and get it prepared, all right. Now, it's been sitting for, since they submitted it last December. We went out and looked at the site, May, I think. So, honestly, it'd have been nice to have had some lead time from on the latest package to know, hey, this is coming. So, but we just didn't.
We didn't wait until we needed to.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what it is. It's not that at all. It's just intentionally.
It's been-
because we knew you're better off.
I didn't realize we could do it once every 5 years. I didn't
Once
realize
you do
that.
it, you can't do it.
Because I know Kyle and I did one when we first was elected, I remember doing one then.
And we did it in 2017 for the Bozeman site, and the MDQ disapproved. So I think that's probably the one that you're thinking about was. And
No, it was actually, Jay, Living Judge, if I'm not mistaken. I remember they were using, I think at their current site now, wasn't it? I want to say, I remember his daddy being here.
That's exactly right. There was one back then.
It was like our first month or 2 in office. I remember what in the world I got myself into.
Well, and
Highway 11, okay.
the last one that was approved was or attempted was in 17 for Bozeman, and that was one when he looked at it. They said that part of it is wetlands, and so that was sort of. And you probably remember this. So to expand Bozeman, they just expanded in a different direction, that's away from the wetlands.
So it'll be
And
ready.
this time got a certification that what the area they're expanding into is it's not wetlands.
And I mean, obviously, we knew it was coming, and in the end, I don't think there's a significant issue, but the first time the paperwork came across was Thursday morning before the board meeting. Richmond, talked to me about it. Usually that's kind of in the pipe.
But we can do that next board meeting. That'll be both of them.
Well, that's it's not both of them, it's one. It's one request, all of it rolled into one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, but that'll be ready next, okay.
I had a short agenda today, so it wasn't.
Any more discussion, please?
Mr. President, Lee, I have some constituents here from 18th Street and 12th Avenue on a project that they came before Russ brought it to our attention on some drainage issues there. My question is, with seeing those folks, has the city attorney brought that to your attention yet, that we could, an interlocal agreement to work on that drainage issue?
18th Street.
18th Street and 12th Avenue, is that correct, Mr. Powell? 12th Avenue and 18th Street.
I know that we had one from the city about with a drainage request, but I think that Rush, is that, honestly, I don't remember the street numbers. Is that it? Okay, because I think the next time that was, after that was submitted, it was a meeting that you were out for illness or something, so I don't know we even talked about that one at the work session.
So we need to bring that to your, what do we need to do next?
What, it sounds like maybe Rush and I need to, and you need to talk in more detail about that and see if we need to go back to the city to refine that, or if it's something, honestly, I don't remember the terms of it. Now, the Rush that you mentioned, that does sound familiar about how broad it was. But
Okay.
Other than, street names, and then it pertains to drainage, I don't remember any details.
Okay, if it's that broad, then we need to look at it and get it back to the city for more clarification. Thank you.
Other matters adjourned during the job fair. If anyone in the audience can come up and speak for 5 minutes, just please state your name and address before you shut up.
Mr. President, excuse me, where is the microphone?
Yes, here.
Thank you.
Do I need to repeat my address?
Would you please?
Okay, 9495 Palm Springs Road. Lee Giancarlo. You spell that last name Giancola. And my first name is L-E.
Thank you.
Okay, so, yeah, I have to say, I have not been involved in my local community, and so I just noticed that you guys have board meetings and work discussions and everything, and so, when I was looking online, I did not see the, times on your calendar for the board meeting. I did eventually find it, and so one thing I was gonna ask is, could it be placed on the calendar on the Largo County website? And then for the working meetings, I didn't find any information. I just listened to you guys kind of working through that. Was a process that you do. So if that could also be on the website, that would be really helpful for any residents that kind of want to participate or know what you guys are voting on. And also posting the agenda. So I see it here, but when I was looking online, all I could find were the meeting minutes for past meetings and stuff. So that's just what I wanted to ask today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else like to speak?
Nothing for me, sir, thank you.
Well, where to start this morning? I see Rocky's out there. Rocky, you want to come up here? We had for the board information, we had a little tour of the animal control. And I thought that this morning that me and Rocky would bring the board up to what we saw. A lot of the things that was on the punch list and so forth had been completed. Rocky, anytime you want to jump in, now jump in with me, okay? But, to me, I just didn't like the way that the when you walk in the door, the first thing you see is the color of the stain on the floor, and looks like some heavy equipment had hit the floor, and you had little indentions in it. And Rocky and I brought this to the contractor's attention, and they said they was going to look at it and adjust it or try to do something with it. To me, this is Lauderdale County. The taxpayers deserve what we pay for the contractors to do this work. To me, and I know the weather's bad, and when we get the asphalt around it and the final finished touches and the fence is up, it will look like animal control. But, today is December the 7th, so in saying what I'm saying, if Rocky's in agreement with me, I think that other than the couple of things that can't be done until the asphalt is done, they have hit the punch list. Do you agree, Rocky?
Yes, sir.
So I just wanted to bring that to the boards because none of you guys could attend, but it's, if it's your house, my house or something, we'd have something to say, and that's why I'm saying it, because I attended, I'm on that animal control thing, and I want the citizens of Lauderdale County to know that we are conservative with their money and their time that they give their tax dollars to. So, you want to add anything?
I'd like to say, I went out over the weekend and, some of the things that, we kind of talked about out there this past Friday. When, trying to, do some cleaning myself to kind of see, what the final product, I don't think we got a good picture of what it was going to look like, once everything was pretty much cleaned up, as it should. I've seen some promise, from the work that I've done Saturday and Sunday out there. But still, still waiting on, what actions, the contractors are going to take to kind of remedy, the issues we have with the floor.
Thank you, Rocky. And moving right along, certainly, December 7th, the men that serve this country, I was privileged to work for a gentleman that was on the USS Tennessee the day that Pearl Harbor was there. The Tennessee was tied up next to the Arizona. He told me that most of those ships down there that day that they got bombed didn't have the firing pins in their guns. He said the Tennessee did have the firing pins and said that he was up there on one of those guns in a t-shirt and underwear firing at that because it hit at breakfast time. To the family of those men that died there, this country should never forget. Thank you, Mr. President.
Just echo what Mr. Rose said, I'm not the district court. Someone else is probably the commissioner, but my understanding that gal officer involved, and that kind of started America in for that, the American spirit that gets kicked, it's going to fight back. Carry on, more than that. So, appreciate all the service that throughout
So moved.
Second. Discussion.
Aye.
Opposed, ayes have it. Just, why do we have to do that?
They're waiting on some material for that, my understanding was that.
Let's do it later. We'll circle back. Yeah, so then that was, some of the awnings, the plans, alter the design a little bit to make it instead of completing. And that does involve some additional materials that we're beyond scope. Probably next meeting.
So, can we guesstimate about your timeline when you're gonna be in there with what needs to be done on our side as far as parking lots? What do you think that looks like?
Talking with Rush, and that's, a lot of his work that he has to do is going to be dependent on the weather, that is, it is actually, ideal for the work that needs to be done, so, kind of depending on, what the weather looks like and how, Rush and guys can get that switch portion completed, and then the contractor will come back and do the program events.
If you didn't have a pair of boots, you couldn't have got in there, Wednesday. I mean Friday, excuse me.
I was thinking the same lines. We probably need to have a transition plan, set up, I know the dates will be flexible, but, when we have,
Like I said, I've been communicating with Ryan and Rush, as far as, how they, what they expect, but like I said, the weather, it's gonna be a major holdup for us, with the work, the type of work that they need to do. As far as on my end, like I said, I'm working with that, with my personnel, with Chris and also Ms. Jackson as far as, furniture and things of that nature. So, like I said, I can't say a tentative date right now, because, we have those other obstacles.
get out in public.
Yes, yes. Yes, I didn't want to necessarily put anything out there because, it's been a process, so.
People start showing
Yeah,
up,
yeah. So, once we got something pretty much set in stone, then we'll move forward with that.
Mr. President, comment for Rocky. Certainly, this board is blessed to have him there to implant some ideas that we wouldn't have thought about in it, and you deserve a big thank you. Thank you.
I like the name Rocky Road. I still think it should be Rocky Road.
Right, hey.
And not Rocky Lane, it should be Rocky Road.
That's nice right there.
That's cool. Yeah. And hey, how'd your oven do over the Thanksgiving?
Yeah, you see, you trying to. January 15th, that's the tentative.
So, still no Rocky, I mean, what we gotta do?
That's what we were trying to do.
I told my wife, her cousin has a beach house down past Richmond. I said, you want to spend Christmas there? She's like, why would you want to do it? I said, well, she got it open.
Thank you.
So,
Good job.
Yeah, sure.
I've had people from Pensacola, Auckland, they went around looking, trying to beat my knees. I mean, so it's a pretty big deal, Even Chris laughed at me, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. He keeps us up to date on the other.
But, it's, as far as this whole,
I was just joking, we sometimes say it's first world problem.
it's not that serious. I like to make a laugh of it, and that's one thing we miss, I think, and as far as like sort of laughter is good for some. There's a lot of things a lot of people dealing with, including myself, but, life can go on, but, we try to make the best of it. But, as far as the building situation, like I said, I'm ready. My staff is ready. I know the community is ready. Like I said, it's been a long process, but I think it's going to be well worth it. The saying deserving to me. I mean, I appreciate that, but
this community needs it. I don't think it would, this would take place if it wasn't for that. So, but I thank you guys for, doing what you're doing for my department.
Motion to recess until Monday, 7/1.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion.